Imagine you're put into a cold, dark prison, or comfortable clothes are taken away from you, and you're given an old cloak to cover yourself up and to protect yourself against the excruciating cold and snow. You are only given a piece of small bread and some drops of soup on a daily basis so that you can survive. And the sole reason for your survival in that prison is so that you could work. You could work from the moment you woke up in the morning, in the dawn, till midnight. And one thing that you are sure of is that there is no hope of ever getting out. And the only thing that you know will set you free is work, is that excruciating and harsh work. And the thing that will free you, and the thing that what freedom here means, is your death. You're not certain of anything other than your own death and your misery. So the question that I wanted to ask you is, what is the reason why you will not commit suicide? Think for a moment. Why will you choose to stay alive in that moment? Because there will be some people who will stay alive in that moment. Now I want you to think about it. What is the thing that gives you the power to stay alive, to decide to live your life, to bear and to go through that harsh suffering? What would be that? What is the reason you are going to suffer that? Is there any articulated and precise reason? Is there something that you are supposed to do? Is there something that you are supposed to create? Is there some level of greatness that you are supposed to achieve so that you won't die until you have done that? Or is there nothing? Now, that is what I'm going to be talking to you about today. The meaning of life and your search for that. Viktor Frankl, the man who's written this book, he was put into that prison. And he has put his observations in that book that the people died immediately the moment they lost hope. They died immediately the moment they realized that they don't have any goal left and they cannot pursue what they had intended to. And the moment their inner self surrendered to that external factors and that external forces and just realized that there is no point in living, their soul and their inner self just left their body and they died. So that is the question. Understand one thing. Your life is totally meaningless. There is no point in living your life. There is no point in life. You're born, you live your life, or you suffer, and then you die. What is the point out there in living your life? There is no meaning to life. You are supposed to give some sort of meaning to your life, to your inevitable suffering that you're gonna suffer if you decide to live. Because you have to understand one thing: your perception differs from those of others. You could perceive more pain by a slap by your father or by somebody whom you love than a person who would have suffered, who would have gone into those kind of concentration camps. So why don't you commit suicide? What is forcing you to live? There has to be some strong reason. There has to be some strong goal that you are supposed to set for yourself, that you are gonna do, that justifies your inevitable suffering that you're gonna go through if you're willing to live. Because what else are you gonna do? What else will propel you to move forward if you are going through any suffering? Because those external circumstances that have forced you to think that your life is gonna be great and good and you're not gonna do anything, they're gonna end one day. And there is gonna be a time when you would have to get that power to motivate yourself to live your life by your inner self. And if there would be none, you don't live, you die. So one of the things that you are not supposed to do is to understand that the modern world is trying to enforce this propaganda with you that you're not supposed to have a goal, you're supposed to live a tension-free life, you're supposed to enjoy your existence, you're just supposed to enjoy, you're supposed to be happy. No. You can be, if you want to be happy, you can be an alcoholic, you can be a drug addict. They are sometimes happy as well, but you want to be that? No, because there is some reason to your life, there is some purpose and some meaning to your life, and you have to articulately know that. What is the one thing that you want to do before you die? What is the piece of creation? What is something that you want to put into this world? What is one thing that you want to experience before you die, or that won't let you die? What is one thing that will propel you to go through the inevitable illnesses that you're going to experience in your life? What is one thing that will motivate you to live your life when you experience the death of a loved one? So you have to understand that we are meant to suffer for a purpose. Your life is totally suffering. You're gonna suffer. You're gonna, when you get out of these pleasurable and these pleasing circumstances, what would be there left? That existential crisis, that existential vacuum side of yourself. Why are you living this life? What is motivating to you to go on and to just live like this? There has to be a meaning. You have to have a goal that forces you, that makes you scared, that makes you scared of not achieving it. There has to be a goal, and there has to be some sort of negativity that is linked to that goal, that if you don't achieve that goal, and you will suffer. You will suffer without a purpose. There is supposed to get out of your suffering, choose a goal, rise up the dominance hierarchy, and live your life like an honorable man, not like some degenerate who's just pursuing pleasure, and he has died and has not justified his suffering. Because that is the worst possible thing, to live a life, to live those 60 and 70 years without knowing what you live for. There has to be some meaning. For it could be something. It could be anything. It could be anything. You could have the pursuit of greatness is a worthy goal. Writing a book, doing something, experiencing something, going somewhere, living somewhere, achieving some kind of status could be a goal. That goal is supposed to scare you if you don't achieve it, because that is what will fill that existential vacuum inside of you when those circumstances that are pleasing you and that are comforting you, then which is inevitably going to end. So what would be at that point, to what would be the thing that will propel you to live forward at that time? That goal that is scaring you, that is supposed to scare you. Choose a goal, live for it, strive for it, struggle for it. You're supposed to fight. You're supposed to fight against your suffering, and you can only do that by choosing a goal. It is time that you have that hard conversation, that tough conversation with your own self. Separate yourself, distance yourself from those circumstances that are comforting you right now, that are pretty comfortable right now, because inevitably they are gonna get away. They're gonna fade away. So do it voluntarily right now, because at that time you don't go through that unwanted and surprising suffering, and it should not be tragic for you to separate yourself right now from your circumstances, whether it is the false idea that your school is putting you. School and these educational institute is one of the worst thing that you could go through if you do not decide a goal for yourself, and you're only the motivation that is propelling you forward, and to just get up and to just go to there. It's just these external circumstances, and you don't know what it is for. That is the worst possible thing. And that is the reason why I'm totally against these educational institutes, about which I'm going to make a detailed video. But you're supposed to know, you have to separate yourself from all those circumstances out there, or anything that is of any kind of pleasure to you. Separate yourself from it. Then find a purpose. Find something worthy of living for. Find something that justifies your suffering. Find something that you are going to fight for. It could be anything that you like. It could be anything you decide. But it should be something that justifies your inevitable suffering.